I have, for a very long time, I used to move every single year because rent would go up on year number 2, and I was like, "Psh, can't pay that." So I'd pack up. I lost a lot of stuff over the years. Things got thrown away over the years. But I was digging through my stuff, and I came upon one of these, and you probably won't know what this is. If you're on the younger side, you'll say, what even is that? I bought this when it came out to listen to a speech about the Southern resistance and why it failed. And when I found it, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember buying that when it came out. Jack Pershing gave the speech in the 60s. The tape, when I bought it, do you even know what these things are? The tape, I was halfway through on that listen. This came out in, let's see, make sure I got it right here. 1992. So, when I told y'all, I've many times, it's like I was back getting all my info before the internet was robust enough, getting it all from VHS and cassettes. I wouldn't BSing you. That was a long time ago, 33 years ago. That's how I was getting my white sympathy material. So I had a bunch of those. I hope I can find some of the VHS tapes because I had a bunch of those as well from back in the day. Did you know that's how we used to communicate? Could you imagine? You're like, hey, I want to hear Jason talk about, Southern resistance, why it failed. I will send off for a cassette.
One eternity later.
I'll send off for a cassette. And then when that gets to my house in about 2-3 weeks or so, I will give it a listen. Wow. So, been around for a while in service to white well-being. Been around for
I've been around,
a little while. But I found something else that was very interesting. And I will show you all in just one moment. But first, I want to just read briefly from a tiny paragraph from Born Guilty. Because in Born Guilty, and what a shame this thing did not, the artwork alone in this, just remarkable. So in the beginning of Born Guilty, you show up at the place I'm living, which is on a multimillionaire's property. And I'm not there at the time you show up. And you walk over to my desk. And how do you know this? Well, mostly it's done with imagery, the same way you would see images in a dream, for example. You walk in and you go to my desk and you find a book titled My Nation, My Fight. And you read a couple of essays from it. And I think you read one more. I leave and I come back and you get to read one more from it. But I say this to you while I'm in the office there with you. I say, I left the once great city open so that you would read it when you arrived. It's a true story. By the way, the book it's in, My Nation, My Fight, is a collection of autobiographical chronicles and essays. So you can think of, as I've explained it before, and let me just show you some of the imagery that how I communicate with you, because I acknowledge that I'm speaking to you in the text over space and time. We're not in the same room, and it's happening my speech to you and your interpretations are at different times as well. So I handled that in some very creative ways. None of the merchants wanting to speak in or speak up on that and how original that was and how creative it was. And you know how many people that said that, boy, this is really going to get a lot of interest. And it was silence. So I've described My Nation, My Fight several times. It's kind of like an anthology of essays I've written, short stories I've written, and different white sympathetic leaflets, flyers, booklets, including, of course, I include in My Nation, My Fight, my original works, all the way from Go Free being just a leaflet, a piece of paper, up until it became a number of pages with a staple, until it was folded into like a little folding book, and then that needed staples, and then up into like a ringed binder booklet over the years. And one of the endeavors, I guess I should say, that's in My Nation, My Fight is called The American New Right. And so that was something I wrote on. So the title is the anthology, and then the subtitle is the work from the anthology, My Nation, My Fight. Now, there are names of people that don't want to be involved anymore for various reasons, and addresses. So what I did was, instead of like trying to scribble over this stuff, I just put a couple of pieces of tape over so you could see this. And I know, like, the reason why in the past, when people have asked, hey, could you show something as like a proof, like prove that you were, well, of course I could make anything. So I just refused to show like any proofs. I've refused to go digging through my old stuff for any proofs, because they would then just say, oh, well, he just made it. He could make it, so he just made it. So this is not for them. This is for y'all, because it's just neat history. But this is an attorney's name, so he doesn't want to be involved anymore. I put tape over that. But you can see here, and then there's an address there that is a person's address, but no longer associated. But you can see here the copyright 2009, and then it says a second printing in February of 2010 of this booklet. But what's really interesting, for those who like to say, how far back does it go? Now, mind you, one of the claims is that Jason wasn't using anti-white or anti-whiteism.
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
Preposterous. As I say, since 94, and here you have 2009, one of the works from My Nation, My Fight, and you can see it's a booklet. Table of contents. Well, I thank here, I've mentioned him before, and there's can you read that? Mr. Elliot Germain. And he's also thanked in one of my others here. But table of contents. So we have, I'll just read through them. Promise of loyalty, purpose, duty, the patriot, leadership principle. Chapter 6, anti-white thought, liberation, periods. So I was already putting instruction into one of the works inside of My Nation, My Fight, to one of the works, The American New Right is what it was called, where I was explaining anti-white thought, liberation, periods. Then we have chapter 7, advertise, success to the public. 8, proffering. 9, fun at meetings. 10, spawning. 11, the patriot never speaks to the media. 12, reconnect with our Western culture. 13, chapter 13, what is anti-whiteism? 14, the conflict with those closest to us. 15, an eye for signs of treason. 16, personal hardship and missed opportunities in life. Sounds a lot like my other teachings, doesn't it? 17, crimes against the innocent. 18, chapter 18, anti-white constructs. And then chapter 19, recourse. So that begins on page 60, so you can see it's, but I don't know if you can read. Now, I've never claimed that any use of anti-white had to come from me personally. It's possible, as in all things, and is obviously the case with Whitaker, that he started using anti-white not many years after. I think he said 2006. And I, not knowing of him, began using anti-white and anti-whiteism, 94, and began writing on it and speaking on it. In fact, you can see here, I don't know if you can see, but the ism I put in italics. Because it was still contested. I was still getting nothing but hate, nothing but pushed back against. And then, according to my recollection, the anti-racist is a code for anti-white, anti-white that Whitaker ran with that project was 2011. So this is just one of my booklet from My Nation, My Fight, where I'm talking about in 2009 anti-whiteism. Let's see. And I'll share more. We got to keep rolling. On like a Sunday, maybe I'll read from it. Page 44. The patriot never speaks to the media. That was a big thing that I was going on about. The establishment media and entertainment media are owned and dominated by anti-whites. And nothing favorable about us ever passes to the public through the anti-white lens of editorial review. I mean, it's just funny to have so many folks that are awful human beings. What is anti-whiteism? You can see the ism italicized there. Anti-whiteism is most easily understood by simply using the word anti-whiteism in the place of the term political correctness. Ergo, political correctness is anti-whiteism, and politically incorrect is opposition to anti-whiteism, i.e. patriotism. The patriot, however, does not use the term politically correct and politically incorrect, as these are anti-white constructs. Man. So anyhow, it's crazy to think that I was listening to these cassettes back in 92, 93, 94, that I was writing on anti-whiteism in this well along the way in My Nation, My Fight of the different subjects that I wandered into and was teaching the entire time about anti-whiteism in all of the other contexts. I wrote on Southern independence. And in that, I taught about anti-whiteism. I did this from the perspective of Southern independence. So I've been doing it forever. So when these folks show up and they're like, you didn't do that, you just stole that from somebody. I mean, you know who you're listening to somebody who's just jealous, right? Cool Papa J Magic is in the house with us. He says, genius. God bless you, brother. This 2009 is funny to look back. And then this is another thing that maybe one of these days I'll have to see if I can find and share with you all. I won't read the name yet, but I'll just say the name of this other item. But I say the battle is between the patriot and the anti-white. The next thing, another subject that I had written on, a bit esoteric, and the doctrine of anti-whiteism. A set of, all that it was a set of protocols for us. So a little esoteric, but nonetheless, been at it for a long time. Paid my dues. Not a merchant on the right. Obviously, you can, from me reading that. What's over here? It's when I was peeking through it, and we got to keep rolling here. But when I was peeking through it, I was like, man, I have been consistent, forever. Every now and then, I get tugged a little bit this way, a little bit that way, but snap right back